From Heart to Hanger is where fashion tales come alive. Dive into the personal stories of people from the fashion world, designers, style lovers, and fashion influencers.
Discover how life experiences shape our style through everyday conversations, explore fashion trends, and embark on a self-discovery journey to find your own style. Be part of a lively community where sharing the love for fashion is the everyday style.
It's your backstage pass to the playful, fashion-filled journey from the heart to the hanger. It's more than just about clothes. It's about the magic of fashion that binds us all. Get ready to be a part of the story where every episode is a runway of ideas and stories waiting to be shared.
Hey fashion lovers, it's Britt Smith here alongside my co-host Paige Andreas. This week we will be diving deep into the emotional journey of being a fashion entrepreneur. And who knows it best other than you, Paige?
Oh yeah, I got all the dirt. Highs
and lows. And when I say emotional, I mean there's happy tears and sad tears, I'm sure.
The good and bad emotions, right? It's kind of, it definitely is a roller coaster. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, it's a good journey.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Obviously, or else you still wouldn't be on this journey at all.
Exactly. I mean, there are days where I'm like, I think we are crazy. Like, what are we doing? When are we going to start selling?
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for next week because we have our first market. So I feel like that will give us like a good taste of what's to come. We'll see like how people are perceiving it, what people are trying on the most, kind of like what are our top sellers, that sort of thing. So it'll give us a little bit more insight than just selling online.
That's super exciting. So it's the first time that you're actually having the pieces in your hands.
Yeah.
And people can try them on.
100%.
So cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's maybe start out with reflecting on maybe moments of doubt that have crept in, like you just kind of alluded to that. Like some days you're like, oh my gosh, are we crazy? What are we doing? Are we really doing this?
Yes.
But how did you, maybe dive a little bit deeper into those moments and how you dug yourself out.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I wish the most is that we could like time travel back to the beginning and know what we know now. But obviously that's impossible. But I feel like we could have saved ourselves a lot of money and a lot of time. And of course, it's just things that you don't know until you've made those mistakes, right? So what did you ask me?
Those moments of doubt. Are there any ones that you can share? I know I'm putting you in a vulnerable spot, but are there any moments of doubt, stories that you'd like to share along the journey?
I mean, okay, so we're always our own worst critics. So I honestly doubt myself all the time. It's kind of one of those things where it's like when it's just me and my sketch pad, I'm super confident, I'm feeling great. But then nothing is more vulnerable than showing somebody your work when it comes to like, especially if you're talking to someone who's been in the fashion industry for a long time. It's kind of like bearing your soul to them, and they're going to love it or hate it. And so I'm constantly like feeling that imposter syndrome, or like, you know, like there's just so many brands out there. How do you stand out? How do you make yourself different? Why aren't people buying? Like, what is we actually have like, so with our advertising, whatever that, there's so much science behind that. I don't even understand. But basically they can see tons of analytics, and we have like an exceptional click-through rate and like people coming from our ads to our page. And then you start wondering like, what do we need to add? Like what takes them from going to the page to buying? Like what are we missing? Right. Like, is it something about navigating the website? I'm not worried that it's the clothing itself, because everyone that we've talked to in the industry is just like, love your designs, love your clothes. Like, and if you know me, I don't love kind of like pumping my own tires. So I always find that kind of awkward to say, but it is the truth. Like if somebody would tell me like, I think it's your designs, like you need to go back to the drawing board, then that would almost be better because you'd be like, okay, well, that's what we're doing wrong. But instead it's just like that constant battle to be like, how do we break into the industry? Like, how do we get people to trust us? How do we get people to invest in these high quality pieces for a brand that's not known?
Right.
So there's just so many things. Like I'm always, and then there's anytime you go to tell someone about it, they're instantly like looking at you and judging you. It's like, so you feel like you have to be put together because you are the face of the brand, or just, it is a hard industry, I feel like, to be in and not let things bring you down, I guess, especially in the beginning. So yeah, there's been calls I get off and I'm like on cloud 9 and I'm so excited. And there's been ones where I get off and literally bawl.
Yeah.
So, and that's okay, because it's usually my own doubt, and I just feel like what I was nervous or worried about, they kind of amplified that, and so then I'm just kind of having my own little pity party, but that's okay. Pick yourself up and keep moving forward.
Okay, so the fashion industry itself, I'm not a fashion designer, so I don't have that inside intel or insight. Is it as cutthroat as I think it is, or do you have a different description of it or experience?
You know what? I think when you get up to that level, if we were to live in New York, absolutely. I think it is like you would see that whole Devil Wears Prada scenario. I think it is quite like that. However, being more in this like rural area, I have met some like really lovely people, and I've actually been blown away sometimes by how nice they are and accepting and welcoming. But I would say if you get right into like the heart of the fashion industry, I would say it's pretty dog eat dog out there. Okay.
So, coming from Saskatchewan, you've always had this passion. You've always been sketching up designs. Do you think, and now living in Calgary.
Yes.
Do you think living in more of these rural areas has helped you, or maybe put blinders on to that noise of the fashion world?
I mean, I think for one, if I would have grown up in a place like New York or something like that, maybe I wouldn't have ever started this, because it would be so intimidating, and it would be just like so much competition, and I don't know, I feel like being like a little bit naive and kind of being able to create your own idea of what the fashion world is sometimes like a benefit. Yeah. So yeah, I do feel like being a little, like Allison says, a little prairie mice does sometimes have its benefits, because we maybe it's because we are oblivious to.
And I mean, there are advantages of, living and growing up in a small town. I think it was the first episode. I think I was like, well, that's the disadvantage of growing up in a small town, but there's also lots of pros.
Oh yeah, we were talking about dance. Yeah. Only getting the class once a week. But yeah, I mean, there's certain things growing up in a small town that you would never get in a big city. It's just like, I remember being just like very little, and like walking my doll in the stroller, like around the block at the babysitter's, just like not a care in the world. In high school, I'd go for runs at like 11 o'clock at night, pitch black, music blaring in my earphones, and not think twice. Just like that, being able to like be free as a kid. And I do think like you definitely have those small town roots.
For sure.
And people notice that.
Yeah, they're with you for life.
Yeah.
And I think they definitely do shine through. And I think it's a pro.
And I think being nice and friendly and yourself goes a long way. Yeah. Like, I don't want to say everyone that lives in the big city is cutthroat either, right? Like, for instance, I said I was in one of the previous episodes that I was on that mentorship call with Anina Bing. And anytime I ever hear her like speak on, even if it's her stories or interviews, she always seems so like kind-hearted and just so genuine. And she always like giggles when she answers. She's just very nice. So I feel like, and she's done really good. And I think it's because people are drawn to her, and I think they can find that like common ground with her. So she's not like this stuck up person.
She's like more relatable. We're not putting them on like this pedestal of I don't know, fashion and where you're like scared to talk to them and they don't want to share any of their I do think there is that where people like don't want to share and want you to have to like, you know, start at the bottom where they did and you know, figure it out yourself. But I think there's definitely both. Right. So let's talk about maybe the emotional resilience that is needed to be a fashion entrepreneur. You probably need a big backbone. Yeah. Coming off some of those calls that are maybe not what you expected. Yeah. Just how do you navigate that and move forward? Yeah, I mean, there's been times where I've, you know, in the moment, I'm like, I should just throw in the towel. Like, you know, but then a few minutes later, I'm like, okay, Paige, you're being ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, I'm really hitting that mom brain right now. That's okay. That's why I'm here, just to keep asking you the questions. You know? What about like, are there any challenging times that you can think of, in this journey that really show up for you? Maybe it wasn't even a call. Maybe it was, on the last episode, we talked about the mom life balance, juggling both. Yeah, I mean, for me, hands down, that's the hardest part for me, is finding time. Mm-hmm. It's always, I need more time. Right. I want to be doing this. I want to spend more time, but where is the time? Mm-hmm. So it's just, I think that will continue to be my biggest hurdle to overcome. And I think I'm starting to like kind of get in my groove, but definitely time management hasn't always been my strongest suit. So I'm working on that and just really focusing like on the task at hand and not thinking about all the other stuff that needs to get done. Yeah. So yeah, there's been so many challenges though. It's hard to like pinpoint one. Mm-hmm. There's been times where we get the samples back and the silhouette of the item is different. There's been times where we received the sample back, but there was no tags attached. They came in a baggie separate, and the hardware that was supposed to be on the jacket was in a baggie. And I looked at my husband and I said, so am I supposed to like sew these onto the jacket? Like there's always things that come up that are challenges and it's, but at the end of the day, I just love it so much. I don't want to get too negative about it because I feel like, a lot of things have happened that suck. I wish they wouldn't have happened. I wish we were launched by now, but they always say to enjoy the journey. Mm-hmm. So we're on it. Yeah. I love it. So you're enjoying the journey right now. You are going to have a trade show, or I guess when this podcast airs, you would have already had the trade show. So we'll talk about that, I guess, in the next one to see how that went, which is super exciting, getting your items in the hands of real customers, consumers. I think that'll be another like pinch me moment, is just like seeing not only models and friends trying on the clothes, but like, you know, everyday acquaintances that I see like at the trade shows at the club we attend. So just seeing
people I know. And actually a lot of them are surprised to know that I have my own clothing line, because usually we're always talking about our kids, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Okay, so going back to maybe some hurdles do you think the communication factor of designing a line would be a huge factor of maybe having those moments of doubt? Like maybe when you're getting the samples back and they're not how you want
like
them?
wondering if I'm not communicating properly,
or maybe you kind of like lose hope in like the whole system itself, and you're like, why don't I just start sewing all of these up?
Oh yeah, all the time. Or it's just like, I find it frustrating because I've always been very like attention to detail, and I am very perfectionist in the way I go about things. So I do get very frustrated that it's like, I wrote this out, I typed it out, I took pictures, like, and then it's still wrong. And it's hard not to get frustrated with like, I want to say almost like lack of care, just like in the workforce in general. I hate to make like a broad judgment there, but I just find like, I know our parents always say that about our generation. Like it's not the same, but I mean, they do have something to be said there, because it's just what a lot of people just don't care as much as they used to. And obviously no one's going to ever care about your own brand as much as you. Right. But yeah, it can get on your last nerves.
Right. Yeah.
I've said to my husband before, I think these people straight up want to see me come unhinged because I'm about to lose it.
I guess you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said no one cares about your brand more than you do, but that's what you want the companies and stuff that you're working with to equally as love it.
Yes.
So maybe that's sort of like another hurdle that you have to get by, because yes, like you noted, you're an up and coming brand. So do you ever feel that maybe you're put like on the back burner? Yeah.
Yes. I oftentimes feel like big problems to me are just like nuance. Is that the right word? To them. Because they're kind of just like, sure, yeah, we'll get to that. But we got whatever, so-and-so brand who's doing millions of dollars ahead of you in line. Right. So just be quiet and stay in line. That's what I feel like sometimes.
Right, because they want to make money too. So
yes,
they're going to honor those companies that are,
And right, if they've been with them for a long time. So it is all about like, you have to start at the bottom, right? You have to start somewhere. And I mean, anytime we have problems with communication, then I learn and I make notes and I think, okay, well, obviously this way didn't work. So how can we make this better? And often we'll be like, what can we do to make your life easier, to ensure these things get done properly? Like, we're not asking you to take all this on. It's like, what can we do to help move this forward? And I think sometimes they're like thrown off by that. Yeah. So they're just kind of like, what? You're not bossing me? So.
Okay. So when you are sort of maybe in a rut, how do you maintain that passion and drive?
Step away.
Yeah. That's good
Do
advice.
Something else. I do find, like I mentioned, several episodes ago, that sketching is like very therapeutic for me. So sometimes even I'll just sketch and forget about like the purpose of it, because that can be stressful too. Like if you're just trying to make the perfect items and make sure they're just draw and that, or go to a bar class or go for wine with some girlfriends, like just kind of step away for a little bit. And after a short amount of time, I'm like, okay, I miss it. I need to get back to it. So, but I think sometimes you just need to like clear your head, because I think any creative job, it's really easy to get in a funk. Like you hear about writer's block, like and if you put yourself in too much of like a box, just like sometimes you need to let yourself do other creative outlets to get the creative juices flowing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's switch a little bit here and talk
Okay.
about some better times. What are some rewarding moments that you can share with the listeners?
Hands down, my favorite part is getting the first sample back, because it is just so rewarding. It's like you've put in all this work, months and months and months of back and forth, sketching, tech packs, things not going according to plan, and then you get these clothes in your hands, and it is just literally, I don't know. I love shopping and I love getting new things, but when it's your own designs, it's just like a whole other level of excitement.
Yeah.
And then I know I say this all the time, but the photo shoot in LA was just like, I was not even myself. I feel like it was like a out of body experience, and I just felt like a different person. Like it was like, I remember calling Keegan and being like, I wish I could like bottle up this feeling and be this like happy and bubbly and like living my best life every day.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can just get selling and then we can do more. I was like, oh yeah, back to reality. So.
Okay, those are pretty cool moments. And I know we were talking before we started recording, but Allison was on that journey with you. And sorry, where was the photo shoot again?
It was in LA.
In LA, yeah.
Yeah.
So we were joking because we're both from small town girls from Saskatchewan, living in Calgary.
Yes.
Calgary.
Calgary.
Oh, people are probably
Calgary.
cringing right now.
It's like tomato.
Yeah.
Calgary.
But I think like just like putting myself in your shoes, I would feel, and I was kind of telling you, like when I first moved from Saskatchewan to Ottawa and then to Chicago, I just like always had sometimes these moments where I was like, oh my gosh, I am like a fish in a small pond. Like I am nobody. Like
yes, people don't know me when I walk down the aisle at the grocery store.
Yeah, like I waved to this person, they didn't wave back. What the heck?
Exactly.
Oh my god.
They maybe give you the finger after you wave. Why are you waving at me?
That crazy lady waving at me. Doesn't everyone wave?
Yeah, the Saskatchewan wave was like the two.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My dad always does that.
But yeah, so like when you were in LA for that, did you have sort of like this feeling of like, do I fit in here? Do I belong? Do I feel like an outsider? Like what was your feeling? Because I often, when I moved to Chicago, I was like, oh my gosh, I love being here, but I don't feel like it's my home.
Like you don't feel like you fully are immersed and from there. Yes, I was so nervous to go because I was like, of course, this is when your own doubt creeps in. See, I always think of stories when I'm talking about something else, but it was just like, I almost didn't want to go when Keegan first like told me that this was opportunity, because I was like, okay, first of all, people are going to be like, we don't want to model for this whatever brand, like who's even heard of that? And I'm like, and they're going to be like, you're from where? Like, I've never even heard of that. Like, I was just very in my head, like I'm this small town girl and
well, you're
don't
from
hurt
Canada.
my
Cute.
Yeah, exactly. So, but honestly, I don't know if it's just like LA, but the people were very, very friendly, and it was honestly like the best time. We were making friends everywhere we went. And I felt like we fit in certain scenarios. And then there was other scenarios where I was just like, yeah, no. Like we took a Uber. So we got there and we had to take a Uber to go pick up my samples for the photo shoot. Mm-hmm. And this Uber pulls up and it is like, there's literally like weed coming out, like smoke, just like coming out the windows. And I looked at Allison and I was like, oh my God. Instantly, I was like, if you weren't here, I would like be crying because I'm scared. Like, this is too big of a city. Like, what's happening? Yeah. So we get in and he was like, where are you going? And we told him the address and he looked at us and he's like, are you sure that's the right address? And instantly then I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. I'm very nervous. And Allison's like, it's fine. She's like, I've traveled lots. I got you. And I was just like, oh my God. Okay, freaking out. And so we pull up And it's literally just like super sketchy.
Okay.
But apparently the fashion like district is right in like the heart kind of downtown LA, and it is really sketchy down there, especially since COVID. So pretty much every Uber driver we had, they kept saying like, you girls, like, be really careful. They're like, have you been here before? They're like, don't walk anywhere by yourself. Don't go out after dark. Like, be careful. And then our Uber driver said to us, he's like, where are you guys from? And I said, oh, Canada. And he's like, oh, awesome. And then I'm like, where are you from? And he's like, born and raised in the hood. And I was like, oh, cool. And he was like, yeah. He's like, and honestly, he's like, I'm sometimes afraid to go out down here. He's like, really? So I'm kind of scared for you guys.
Oh my gosh.
And then I looked at Allison and I'm like, oh my God, like, where are we and what are we doing? Like,
right.
I don't like this. So we pull up and this building is nowhere to be seen. All I see is like a subway. And then there's, of course, like lots of like poverty and homeless people. And I'm just like, our Uber driver's like, I seriously, like, I have to wait and make sure you guys get in somewhere. Oh, and like, so he's nice. So worried about us. Like, and this is what I mean. Like, everyone was so nice. Yeah. Anyways, long story short, it's like the outside of the building was, don't judge a book by its cover, because we went through like some parkade and up an elevator and whatever. Once we were inside, it was all good and the samples were good. But I just find it funny because I literally looked at Allison and I'm like, if you weren't here, I would have just like curled in a hole and died because I was so scared.
Yeah, I would have been too.
I was like, I'm used to knowing all my neighbors, everyone around me. Of course, we've lived in like, I lived in Edmonton and now we live here, but and a city is a city, but it was on another level.
Right.
And the fact that we kept getting told by all our Uber drivers that we need to be safe, it was kind of like concerning.
Alarming. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's maybe talk about the support system, because I know Allison was a huge support for you when you were in LA.
Yes, huge.
Yeah, I guess we have touched on that in other episodes, but the emotional aspect of running a brand and a business, maybe talk about that support system that you need and that's helped you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's where it's such a blessing to have like my mom, Keegan's mom, my sisters, like friends, just women in general. They like to hear about your emotions a little bit more than men. But I do think it is important to have those people to like lean on and talk through stuff. And I'm really close with my family. So, and my mom is a very like, she's very driven and has very like good advice business wise. So I always like to like talk to her about that sort of thing. And she loves fashion too. So I get a lot of that from her. And then my sisters, they're just like good like shoulders to cry on, you know, where you can lean on. And then of course friends like you who do podcasts, and Allison who's come to 2 photo shoots now, and she did like some sales for us, and all of it just like out of the goodness of her heart. So yeah, I really appreciate like my friends and family.
It's so nice.
Getting all emotional here.
Okay, my next question. I mean, I just picture you sketching aggressively for some reason, right? Are there ever times where you've like been like, I'm gonna, like, I have this idea, I'm gonna go sketch right now, like, everyone give me 20, and like you go to the room, close the door, and like just go like start sketching like a mad lady? Does that ever happen?
I would say yes, maybe not so dramatic. And I usually like am doing it in a common area, but I like that idea. I'm going to go to my room next time, because it's usually like I'll be, you know, in like right in the zone sketching. And then all of a sudden I see little fingers creep in, and it'll be Gigi with a pencil. Mommy, look. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my work. Without like, and then she gets her feelings hurt, right? She's like, I was just trying to make it look pretty. But I'm like, now I have this huge like scribble across my page. But yeah, I feel like I'm more so, I'm more like a slow and steady sketcher.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Gigi was coloring when I first arrived here. So she obviously has that creative touch in her as well. But do they ever give you inspiration? Like maybe if she comes in the room and I don't know.
I feel like just like that girl's got style. I swear. Like sometimes the outfits she puts together, I'm just like, yeah, I like that. Like I don't know, they kind of, I don't know how to say it, but yeah, just kids inspire you in different ways. Not necessarily, I guess, design wise, but more so just they have that like can do attitude and like they're not hindered by, you know, all the negativity. Yeah. So I feel like just watching them believe that they're like the best at things sometimes is kind of a good reminder.
So true.
Yeah.
Aww. It's like
then you get sad because you're like, I don't want the first person who like breaks their like little bubble, you know, like.
I know, like when does that happen?
I feel like it happens young. I'm already, I was telling Keegan, it was so random. So like Gigi has curly hair and every day I tell her how much I love her curly hair because from doing hair, I know people with curly hair most of the time are always like, they're not loving it and they always like want it to be straight and whatever. So I just want her to really like grow up loving her curly hair. And I tell her that every day, like all day. And I do really love her curly hair. I think it's so fun to style. And then the one day she's like standing at the back door and she's like, and she's like huffing and puffing. She's like, I don't look beautiful. She's like, I just want straight hair like you. Aww. And she just turned 4. Yeah. I'm like, where is this coming from? Did somebody at school say something about your curly hair? Yeah. And like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I have those moments with my daughter as well. Like my son could care less. Like he recently just had to get glasses and I was like, oh no. I'm like, I hope like no one makes, I don't know, fun of, like calling him 4 eyes or anything like that. But like, no, does not care. Yeah. Whereas my daughter will be like, usually I don't even wear makeup half the time. So when I do put on makeup, she'll see me and she'll be like, Mom, can I have some of this to make me look more beautiful? And I'm just like, you don't need makeup to be beautiful. Like, so it's,
I know
it's already like starting because obviously if I'm going out for a nice dinner, I want to put a little mascara on. Yes. You know? I don't know.
It is. And it's like, yeah. Or she's like, my outfit isn't as good as yours. And I'm just like, what is happening?
Maybe you have to tap into the children line.
Yes. I'm always like, well, honey, mommy has 30 some years on you. So I've had a lot of practice.
Yeah. Maybe a mommy and me line.
Yeah.
Could be something in the
That'd be so cute. Future. Like matching jackets.
Yes. Love it.
Make them the leather jacket.
Yeah.
That'd be so cute. Too bad they have to grow so fast.
Yeah, I know. It's silly. Well, I mean, if you have more than one daughter, you can get more use out of it. But
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so is there anything else that you would like to maybe shed light on about being a fashion entrepreneur and the emotional journey of pursuing your dream? Is there anything that you want to add?
I think my biggest advice is buckle up. Yeah. Because you're going to be in for a ride and it's not going to be as glamorous as you would expect it to be. You definitely have to be willing to put in the work and there's going to be a lot of long days and a lot of times where you wonder like if anything's ever going to come of it. But I do truly believe that if you're persistent and you just keep pushing forward, at least something will come of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's my biggest advice. If you're passionate about something and you truly believe you can do it, then don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Yes, because doing this podcast, people see the work that you've done because the consumers will see your finished product. Yes. But I love that we're doing this podcast because it puts like this whole human element behind it, which most people don't think of when they're buying clothes. So yes. I love that you had this idea to make this podcast and be vulnerable and share all the ups and downs and the errors and the rewarding moments that went into building ARIANNA Andreas. So I think that's very cool.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that you wanted to do this with me.
Yeah. Thanks for asking me.
For those of you guys that don't know, Britt has a background in, is it broadcast and journalism?
Broadcast.
And yeah, so you make it really easy to talk back and forth, which is so nice. I was just like, this was something I did not want to do by myself because I'm a very like conversational, I like talking with someone, but it wasn't something I wanted to do on my own. So
yeah, and I love asking questions. I'm a very curious person, and I wanted to learn more about the fashion world. And it's been
here we are,
really fun doing it. And next week, we will be learning about the power of a great outfit. So transforming moods and moments. So
it's a good one.
Very cool.
So encompasses the brand. So
yeah.
All right.
Oh wait, we didn't do what we're wearing.
We didn't.
Okay, well let's do that.
Okay, I'm like, okay, now I need to remember. What are we wearing?
Yeah, if you listen to the very first episode, I put Paige on the spot. I was like, maybe we should tell people, even though most people are just going to be listening to us, what we're wearing. But you can also find the podcast videos on YouTube and just to see what it looks like on real humans.
Yes, exactly. So you are wearing the Celine ribbed dress, which we've already decided, and one of our models that we had at the last shoot. It's a fan favorite. It's you guys can't see right now, but it's like it does a lot of favors in the tush area. You know, it fits you in all the right ways. It hugs your curves and it holds you in, but it's not restrictive, and it's thick, so it's not see-through. And I just feel like it's such a great staple piece for your wardrobe. Dress it up, dress it down. Here we paired it with the Dawn cardigan. It's 100% merino wool, but it's not itchy. I feel like wool, people think wool. I actually even did a poll on Instagram a week or two ago, and I was shocked because it was like, would you pick wool, cashmere, cotton, or eco viscose? And there was like pretty split between cashmere, eco, and cotton, but like basically zero for wool. And I thought, wow, I always go for wool. I love wool, but if it's not, I know it can be super itchy and irritating, but this, I've had like zero issues.
Yeah.
So
I haven't been itchy this whole time, so
exactly.
That's a good sign.
Yes. And both of those, once again, are available in multiple colorways. And we decided to kind of keep it a little more casual, and she paired it with a pair of white sneakers. But you could also wear heels and a blazer and totally dress it up. So I think it's a great staple.
Agreed.
And then I'm wearing the Mila Dolman shirt. I feel like it's kind of like in between. You could almost like consider it more, it's not a blouse, but you could dress it up in that way. So you could definitely wear this shirt to be more dressy. And once again, it's just such a great staple. It has beautiful rib details, like a wider rib. It has really nice dolman sleeves on it. And it's available in black as well. So
love it.
Can you hear my stomach growling?
No. I think it's time to eat.
Yeah. It's been a while. I was working hard.
That just reminded me when you said like this dress that I'm wearing. I already forget the name.
It's the Celine.
The Celine.
Yes.
I love it because it does, like, it hugs your body. It's like a warm hug, but then it also has room where I could go out and have a couple beers or glasses of wine, and you wouldn't be able to tell that I'm bloated.
There's the Saskatchewan girl in you. That's the first drink that you think of. I could go have a couple beers.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Beer kind of makes me bloated, so I feel like I choose my drink based on what I'm wearing, and I could totally drink some beer.
Yes, you could. You totally could, and you would be looking bomb while doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I'm dead.
All right, well, I already told you what we're talking about next week, so I guess we can just bid adieu.
Okay.
Farewell.
Well, everyone, hope you have a fabulous day, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.